Say, neighbor, got a question for you. It ain't mine, it's Reb's. Is Jesus on board of your boat? Either he is or he is not. And you are standing on shady and shaky ground if you respond, I hope so. Or maybe. Your answer has to be affirmative, without question. Most definitely, because in life, storms emerge. And I don't care who you are and how much money you've got or how much prestige you have or how many degrees you now carry on your wall. It does not matter whether you're young or old, whether you are sophisticated or ignorant. It does not matter whether you are inner city, out of city. It does not matter. You need to know whether or not Jesus is aboard your ship, because in this life you will have trials. I wish I could preach it. And tribulations. In this life, storms are going to emerge. You may have went to the doctor last week and he gave you and said you have given you a picture of health and said to you that you're all fine. But I've seen folk who went inside of the doctor, had the examination, walked out and dropped dead. Is Jesus? Now don't fool me now. You looking at me like I'm crazy. You should at least smile and say, You make me want to preach a little longer. You make me believe that there is an uncertainty in the house. You make me believe just because you have now raised your children and you have a couple dollars, as my mama used to say, two nickels or quarters to rub together, and that you're doing pretty good in your elderly age. But at the truth of the matter, a storm can emerge. Here is what my good friend H. Beecher Hicks has said, and I've said it many times before, that you're either in three positions in life when it comes down to storms. Either you are in a storm, or you have just come out of a storm, or you are headed back into a storm. You're either in it, out of it, or headed back into a storm. And what I've discovered about people who are in storms, who are having trials and tribulations and troubles and problems and all kinds of headaches and heartaches and disappointments in life, there are two kinds of people in the world. Either there are those who are running from their storms, or there are people who are riding the waves of the storm. They're either running or riding the waves of the storm. Me and Larry used to go down to Atwood Lake down south here of Ohio here, down south at Atwood Lake. We had certain kinds of affairs down there, especially with our women's ministry some years ago before they kind of closed down. But we used to go down there and get on platoon, is that platoon boats? Those platoon boats, you know, they're flatbed boats. And I was always the captain, and I would always go down there with my captain hat. And I wanted my kids to know that I was in charge of the boat, and they're to follow my direction. And every now and then we would take them or some visitors down there with us. And when our family grew larger, we would take some of our other family members down there. And I always knew who was afraid of the boat. The person who was afraid of the boat was usually the person who would get on the boat and get to the side of one of the seats and then grab hold of the side of the boat. But the person who was not afraid always would go in the center of the boat and stand up in the boat and just rock and ride the waves of the boat. Either you are riding the waves of your ship, your boat, in the midst of your storm experiences, and you're laughing and having a good time despite how rickety the boat gets, or you're holding on tight to the side of the boat. Here in the text, the disciples are headed into a storm on the Sea of Galilee. Say, Sea of Galilee. And I would go so far as to say that they're headed back into a storm. They had been on the Lake of Galilee before. And that storm had arisen while they were out there on the Lake of Galilee. And they were not aware of this particular storm, because storms emerge quickly, unexpectedly, and unannounced on the Sea of Galilee. And they had sailed this area time and time again. But there was something different and unique about this storm. Say, this storm. You know, you can, again, sail 1 minute fine in life, and the very next minute you'll find out that you're fighting the waves of life. Jesus made it very clear to his disciple in Mark's account. He tells of Jesus, one, rebuking the storm. Say, rebuking the storm. And on this particular evening, Jesus is exhausted, and he is sleeping on the little seat placed at the stern or back of Peter's boat. Say, Peter's boat. When suddenly a squall rose on the notorious stormy Sea of Galilee, and suddenly there is splashing waves that broke onto the boat, and the disciples find themselves bailing water. Say, bailing water. Not only were they bailing water out of the boat while Jesus was asleep, the Bible seems to suggest that they became panicky. They panicked, and they rushed to the stern of the back of the boat where Jesus was sleeping, and they shake him violently. They cried out desperately, "Master, the tempest is raging. Master, we got a problem here. Master, the wind is furious. Master, the waves are going on the inside of the boat. The billows are blasting," and they say to him, "Master, in the midst of all of these problems, in the midst of the turmoil that we're going through, we're trying to save ourselves. We're trying to bail out the water. We're trying to get as many water buckets as we can and get rid of all the water that is in the boat. But there is much more water than we can bail out. Master, don't you care about us?" Don't you feel like sometimes in life you want to say to God, "God, I'm having problems. God, I just gone to the hospital. God, they gave me a death notice, and I need to know whether or not you really care about me. It's not my mother, it's not my father, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's not my sister, not my brother, not my cousin, not my uncle, but it's me, oh Lord." Have you ever been in that kind of a situation? The doctor said, "I don't know what we can do. You better lean and depend on Jesus. I trust in God, whether I'm on land or sea, wherever I may be," said the songwriter. Why? Because Jesus is on board. And what does Jesus do? He brushes off the sleep. Jesus arose, and went briskly to the side of the boat, stretched out his arm, and spoke peace to the storm. He says, "Hush!" You see, sometimes God is not nice about it, especially when you panic. You know, sometimes when someone panics, every now and then, watch this now, to get them to calm down, you can talk real nice to them. "Baby, you just calm down. But you don't understand. You don't know what I'm going through. I can't calm down. Why do you understand? Calm down." And sometimes when they won't calm down, every now and then you just got to slap them in the face. And what Jesus does, now he's going to do a double slap here. Pow! Y'all know how that goes, don't you? He's going to get one slap. I don't have time to preach this. He's going to get one slap, and then he's going to give another slap. He says, "Hush." I wish I could preach this thing. Sometimes he has to tell your storm, "Hush," and just slap it away. Has it ever happened to anybody in the house? You were depressed, you had a problem, you had a life situation, somebody died in your family, you were just panicking and everything, and every now and then God did not talk nice to you, he just slapped you down. They say when you slap people, I'd like to have somebody up here so I can try it. That sometimes you have to slap somebody into sense. Anybody here like me to try them out, see if it works? You got to knock them. My mama used to say that. If you don't straighten up, I'm going to knock some sense into you. And Jesus knocked some sense into the storm. And what the disciples really said, though it's not in the text, they say, really, what magic has happened here? What magic? We are all struck. What magic has happened here? And what they should have basically thought, what majestic occurrence have happened here? What miracle, what moment we have just experienced. Jesus has stood up on the side of the boat, opened up his hands, his arms, and said, hush! And everything got quiet. And then he says, what in the? I almost said it. What in hell's name has gone on with y'all? Because, here's one, and I'll do this one, I'll do two later. Here's one. You missed it. I'm on the boat, and I can work whether I'm asleep or awake. I'm on the boat. And whether it's a storm, a calm, whatever, I can work as long as I'm on the boat. And what you need not do in the boat, in life, God has not given you the spirit of fear. But he's giving you love. He's giving you a sound mind. And when the storm emerges, you start to ride in the storm and say, it's going to be all right because I've got another person with me. In the midst of my storm, I've got somebody who's walking with me. I got somebody who's talking with me. I got somebody who can heal me. I got somebody who can work a miracle for me. I got somebody who can get in front of me, make a way out of no way. I've got somebody who can calm me in the midst of the storm. That name is J-E-S-U-S. Every now and then, all I've got to do is just whisper J-E-S-U-S.